Welcome once again to Western Kabuki. You are hanging out with some tired soldiers today. Caleb is out this week. We are still recovering from our whirlwind tour of Chicago last week. We had an excellent live show where we did a lot of laughing, and people seem to like that. That's basically all we did the whole time. With me, as always, is Juniper. June, how you doing?
I'm doing great. We laughed a lot. It was great. It was so nice to meet so many listeners of the show. It was really fun to distribute a ton of the Jazz Wolf Western Kabuki stickers. I hope to see those go up on water bottles everywhere, like go on trains, see them on trains everywhere. But no, it was such a great time. The live show was amazing. I had such a fun time.
Amazing.
It was amazing, but apparently Lolo, who you all should boo right now. Thank you. Has some choice words for Caleb, who can't make it here today. Go ahead. Why don't you unload on the poor guy?
Oh, hey, buddy. I saved the big room for you in the Airbnb, being Mr. Nice Guy. And actually, it turns out that was the room where somebody was farting all over the pillows because I came back from Chicago and I had conjunctivitis and an ear infection. I got pink eye. It's embarrassing. I can't tell anybody this. I'm a 33-year-old man.
No, it really.
Wait, you didn't say you also had pink eye.
Oh, I'm sorry. I forgot. Yeah, I got pink eye.
That's mortifying.
That's what I heard first was pink eye, and
I got rid of that.
Sure.
I got the drops. I got the eye drops.
I had pink eye on Christmas fucking day in 2020, like a year ago, 2024. I went down to, before I moved here, I went down to Chicago, and I was out with a couple of friends, hanging out with someone who moved to California from Chicago, and it was like, oh great, I get to see a couple of friends I haven't seen in a minute. And I was very drunk, and it was Christmas, like it was like December 23rd. I was like, I cannot drive back up to home, that's an hour away. And someone was like, oh, you can come crash on my couch. I wake up the next day with pink eye after laying on the couch. And that, like, I told my parents, and they're like, was someone like farting on your face in your sleep or something? Yeah.
It's always somebody else's fault. And yet when you get pink eye, it's like everyone's like, well, what were you doing? Why'd you do that?
Next week, we're going to have to postpone the show because Lolo's going to have lice.
Yeah, I know. I'm speed running like elementary school illnesses.
And then I'll have the chicken pox. We're going to have to take care of our sweet little boy.
And then measles.
Oh yeah, I'm soft launching my measles outbreak.
And you can probably hear her laughing. She has already spoken up a little bit. Totally breaking the protocol of waiting until... I'm just kidding.
I'm so sorry.
I'm kidding.
We have to do this whole thing all over now.
Kat Abughazaleh is with us, who is a video maker. What would you call yourself? Because I'm doing a bad job here right off the bat.
You do so much. You do everything.
I do everything. I mean, I think what June and I talked about before was like video creator, researcher, mom of Heater, which of course is my cat, and now congressional candidate.
We're going to put in some dance hall air horns right there to...
Congrats.
Yeah, congrats. That's huge.
Thank you. Yeah, Illinois 9. Let's go.
Running against Jan, what's her name? Jan something.
Well, right now, running against no one. I'm the first person to declare in this race.
Oh, isn't she still the incumbent, or is she stepping down?
Yes, she's still the incumbent.
Okay.
No word whether she's going to run or step down, but I'm the only candidate in the race.
Ooh,
Can I ask you a real baby politics question? What does it take to put your hat in the ring for this kind of thing?
I'm actually so glad you asked because I also was curious, and I'm going to be doing like a whole series of videos throughout this entire process to like show how to run for office, because we think the barrier of entry is a lot higher. Essentially, we had to get like an employer identification number, and then a PO box, and then file with the FEC, and then get like a payment processor, which is ActBlue, and now I'm a candidate.
That's really all it takes.
That doesn't sound like much.
You need
more stuff to be like successful, but yeah.
But it seems like such, like when I was younger, I was always like focused on politics. I was talking about politics all the time. And my dad was like, you should just like run for office. You're like obsessed with politics. And like in my, I don't know, 20-year-old brain at the time when he told me that, I'm like, that seems impossible. That's like not for people
office,
like
June.
for me. Well, I don't know about that one. Maybe someday. Maybe.
No, this is the whole reason, like I'm trying to really get other people to run for office. I mean, if you want to do like state or local, you can talk with Run for Something, which is a incredible organization. But if you want to run for Congress, like I'm going to be doing a series about all the weird ins and outs. There's so much weird insider bullshit that I had no idea about. And I'm like very tuned into politics that comes with the campaign. Like, let's make this shit transparent.
I'll have to pay attention to that because I don't know. Maybe one day I will. Maybe not this year. Maybe a year from now. Who knows?
I know that it's a low bar to clear, June, but you're definitely the most charming of the four of us.
I don't know. Kat's pretty charming.
I wasn't talking. I was talking about the four mainstays. Kat's.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
When you put
I think June is more charming than me.
We'll see about that.
Yeah, we'll see.
We'll see who wins I think like we'll see. We'll see. I think the problem with me is I have a lot of tweets from like 2021 that like some Democratic consultant has screenshots of, and they're like, "Why did you say that you think Iran should have nukes?" And I'm like, "Well, I can explain."
Yeah.
So I don't know about that.
I mean, I do delete my tweets all the time, but I do have a feeling that if I did run, they'd be like, "Why did you say to that random person who was supporting Donald Trump, we're coming for you next?"
Exactly. You remember like what they did against Will Stancil? They like started just putting out mailers of his tweets in his own district.
To be fair, his tweets were like, "I hope you kill yourself and you die and you are garbage and you're worse than anything that ever existed and I hope that you turn into a puddle of blood." Like they were really wild.
I mean, like my campaign manager went through some of like my old tweets, and I'm like very, when I post something, I do think, do I care if people know this? And the answer is always no. And so I'm not worried. He was worried. He was like, do you think someone's going to be concerned when you call your cat a Marxist icon? And I was like, if they are that serious, they're probably a fun person to be around.
Absolutely. And I think what we've learned with Trump winning twice is doesn't really matter what we say anymore.
No, it doesn't matter
like,
at all. It's all wrestling rules. Politics is now just like WWE. You just have to believe it. You have to put on the show pretty much. So you can say whatever you want. That's why I'm like, yeah, maybe I'll run for office. I don't care if it says that I was bricked up on election night, or something like that. Or
I think like the answer is just to be like, I don't care. If we all just say fuck it, we ball, we're good.
I mean, honestly, that's like we're talking about insane things that we're tweeting, but I think that kind of goes to a truth that is really difficult for the Democratic Party right now, and why the Republicans generally have been doing all right, is that people, even if you're more to the left, understand that most Democrats don't really believe anything, and when they're pressed on any issue, they retreat. But like, oh, like I don't actually believe this. I believe this, and they have like 20 bullet points of what they actually believe, and everyone starts tuning out at that point and doesn't believe anything they say. And like, I think that like kind of actually is accurate. Like people don't actually trust anything that most politicians believe.
Like, why should they?
Right. I think that's why so many people trust Bernie Sanders. Like I say this all the time. Like my father is a right winger, votes for Trump. He generally likes Bernie Sanders, not really the policies, but he likes him as a person, because he always says at least he knows that Bernie believes what he says. Like he actually believes,
which is
everything he's
honestly
saying.
Rare and valuable to people.
Well, like one thing here is that a lot of these people, it's all about money. I mean, they talked about how Trump is the end of democracy, Trump is the greatest threat, blah, blah, blah. And you have Chuck Schumer just essentially rubber stamping Trump's agenda with this funding bill. And so it's pathetic. It shows you don't believe in anything. Meanwhile, the House Democrats, they did stick together for this, even people in Trump districts. And it's hard to see leaders not only going back on what they said, but even the leaders who voted correctly, if they're not condemning their colleagues that are hypocrites, then they're just as bad.
In all seriousness, in spite of our goofs, like what prompted you to actually take this step? Because it's a big step to like throw your hat in the ring for political office.
Yeah, I mean, I woke up when Trump won, and I thought that I would immediately want to move countries for fear of, being thrown into a gulag. But instead, I just got really, really angry. And I've been mulling it over. And I thought, well, let me see what the opposition party is going to do. And the answer is nothing.
Oh, God, I know.
I contacted the man who's now my campaign manager, Sam Weinberg, February 3rd. So it took less than 2 weeks after the election or after the inauguration to be like, yeah, it's time to run. It's just been so pathetic. And I wrote this op-ed in the New York Public after the election. And essentially the main idea was there are no adults in the room anymore. We are the adults in the room. We have to do something. And there's no one that's going to come in and stand up for us. We have to do it ourselves. So this is I have a big platform. I want to use that for good. And I'm not very good at standing around and letting other people or waiting for someone to do something, because oftentimes they won't. So
that's been the real frustrating thing that you brought up Chuck Schumer, is that they're waiting for the perfect polling moment.
It's never going to happen.
It won't.
Life is not a movie.
No, and they are not actively creating counter narratives to the every fucking day new, awful, worst thing of all time that the Trump presidency is unleashing on this world. So it's never going to happen because there's no counter argument. And they I'm not the first to point this out, that Kamala campaign, all the Democratic politicians that are still in office, they were constantly saying, "Oh, Trump's a fascist, ending democracy. This is going to happen. Google Project 2025, this is all going to happen." And then he won, and they're just twiddling their thumbs, just sitting around what? And so I've noticed that anger in even liberal circles on Blue Sky especially, which is bizarre. But people are angry. Everyone's starting to notice that the Democratic Party leadership under this current iteration is just fucking useless.
No, it's just it's so frustrating.
What I like to do on Blue Sky is I like to make up lies about things that Rachel Maddow said, and then people scream at me like a 55-year-old women get really, really angry and send me death threats. I said, I can't believe this. I'm watching Rachel Maddow, and she just instructed her viewers to kill the rich. They're like, this isn't real. This is not real. Ban him from Blue Sky. Sorry.
Misinformation.
This is when on Twitter I used to have this bit where when I was monitoring Tucker Carlson, it'd be my old manager, Andrew, started it, and we'd be I am joining Tucker Carlson at 8 p.m. to discuss, why the new Cowboy Bebop remake is too woke, and then parentheses Asian lead. And we just would do that several times a week, and people would be I didn't see you on Tucker, or why'd you go on Tucker? Good stuff.
So I have so many
days.
questions about this, because I find this is I know that I have made too many public statements that are too fucking weird for me to ever be a politician, but I do feel as though I am really interested in the process. And one of the things I'm really curious about is do you have to do Oppo research on yourself, basically? Do you have to sort of go back into your life and worry about all the things you've ever done or said?
Well, I mean, I'm pretty self-aware. I did have to see if my One Direction middle school fan fiction was anywhere. But that's more just to protect her, to protect my inner child. Yeah, I mean, some of the people I've talked to were I looked you up, but it's also really hard with me because there's so much stuff about me online, from my posts to, weird articles to bigger profiles, whatever. So you have to go through a lot. I didn't find anything online. I'm sure that there is something that's embarrassing, but I can't imagine what it'd be. Maybe a middle school picture or something.
And then the other thing I'm thinking about is something that you just said, which is you're super frustrated with the sort of status quo of the Democratic Party that doesn't seem to be doing much and doesn't really even seem to be condemning it. They're just sort of well, what can you do? There's a couple people out there who are hey, we're actually in a pretty bad moment and should be talking about it. Do you worry about being vocal in a way that would put off the ability to coalition build if you had something you wanted to work toward? I guess my question is, how do you learn how to politic? like, how do you learn how to like do deals with other Congress people in order to be effective?
I think I could probably tell you that when I'm in Congress. But
Fair enough.
But for this, like, to be fair, I'm not really trying to suck up to any specific Democratic centers of power. I hate when people say we can't do something because this is the way it's always been done. And every time I've floated different ideas for how we could change campaigning or how we could change politics or a bunch of different things, I always hear, well, that would never work. And I think just setting that obstacle ahead of time is so counterproductive. So for this campaign, we're essentially doing all of the things that people say will never work and see if they work. So, we're not taking corporate money, which is not weird among progressive candidates, but we're also being really, really transparent as possible in a completely new way. From working to try to build a new coalition to posting videos about the process. I think there's just so much that people don't know about this stuff. And then also a really community focus. So I think it's about a successful congressional campaign costs minimum like $1 million. And it's kind of ludicrous that we don't spend that money on the community. Like, it's right there. Why are we not investing in mutual aid? Why are we not working with local businesses? Why are we not focusing on public events rather than fancy fundraisers? Sure, you wouldn't be able to rub elbows with someone that gives you like $5,000. That's nothing to them. But you would be giving money to people who actually need it and using that money in a good way. Like, we have to spend so much money for campaigns. Why are we wasting it on TV ads? Why are we wasting it on spam texts? Why are we wasting it on all these things that don't work, that are really predatory? I'm trying not to do that.
But have you considered that it's really important that you use 50% of your budget to send out more texts asking for more donations every single day of the campaign? Haven't you considered that that's really important and crucial to campaigns?
I'm an idiot. I'm very stupid. And if I sound too formulaic, by the way, it's because I've been typing all day. My head is just full of words. It's so nice to talk to real people through a screen.
Being articulate is like a rare gift on this show. So you're doing great.
I'm so sorry. I'm usually much less articulate.
Kat, what did you mean when you said you're a fool if you think hurricanes are anything besides a trap to turn your kids trans?
I meant every word.
Mic drop. Fuck, this campaign is over right here.
A trap to turn your kids trans, parentheses, positive.
Aww.
Yeah.
It turned out sweet. Aww.
Newsmax is going to be like, Kat Abughazaleh wants to turn your kid trans. And it's true.
It's all about the trans.
We're going to be working on that. Don't worry. There is a plan. The plan is being hatched currently.
Obviously, yes, of course.
Listen, trans is going to be in your water supply soon, and you have no idea.
Trans is going to be in your water supply. It's going to be in your air, just like fluoride, which makes your teeth gay.
But I think I just wanted to go back to something you were saying about how like new coalitions. I think there's like so much potential there, and that's always something that I think there's like an appetite for, where like the traditional Democratic Party way is just like not cutting it anymore. And as we're saying, people have thoughts about Bernie Sanders and AOC, but the one thing that you can have to admit with this and what they're doing right now with these rallies across the states is they still have like a weird pull on a coalition that, I don't know, didn't really come out in a way during the election. I feel like Bernie Sanders is able to pull just a very unique crowd of people no matter where he goes. And the party as a whole just doesn't really tap into that. It doesn't feel like.
Well, that's because he's tapping into like very common sense ideas. It's not progressive to want everyone to have free healthcare. It's not progressive to want everyone to be able to afford housing. It's not progressive to want to make sure everyone can live a life where they don't just survive, they're also thriving, that their kids can get universal pre-K, so we're all starting with a good head start. It's not it's not this woke scam to just want to make sure that people have a good life. And that's what those ideas, like Bernie's been framed as this crazy leftist in America, but he's not even it's not progressivism. It's just common sense. And that's what appeals to people. And if the Democratic Party, or a lot of it right now, is determined to turn away from those ideas because it's not friendly to some, big money donors, and it's harder to actually make change. And a lot of them are also, they don't understand the problems that people like me and you face. Like they aren't renters. A lot of people in Congress don't have to worry about paying out of pocket. Every single month I go to the pharmacy for my narcolepsy medication and I show them my GoodRx coupon and I'm like, I know this says it's not insurance, but I swear to God it's insurance, because I don't have health insurance. These are just, this coalition isn't right or left or progressive or conservative or liberal or whatever. It's just common sense.
You got me thinking about something. I used to work at WNYC, which is a nonprofit public radio station, and WNYC had one of the sort of consistent controversies of the station. We would get people constantly saying like, hey, I'm not going to contribute because your CEO makes $1 million a year, which is insane for a public radio station, even if it's the biggest one in the country, even if it's the flagship one in New York City. And I would always say to my boss, like, these people are right. And my boss would be like, well, yeah, but she has to like hobnob with rich people. That's how we make all our money. And I was like, that's really not
the horror of that. Oh my God, that's so hard. Have you ever considered that's so much work?
And she was like,
I'm sure she does work, but maybe not $1 million if you guys need to ask for donations.
And she was like, and she needs to be rich so she can understand them. And I was like, okay, you've lost.
There is nothing rich people love, like rich donors love more than to feel like they understand what the common folk like.
It's also just not true. If that were the case, we wouldn't do pledge drives. We would do rich drives, which is like a lot of what normal congressional candidates do. They have $2,500 a plate dinners and shit.
And that drives me fucking insane. So like for our first event, which is going to be on Saturday, the entry fee is not, a $500 donation or a $5,000 plate. You have to bring a box of tampons or pads that we're going to donate to the Chicago Period Collective. And then like, that's it. You don't have to be some rich donor because these are supposed to be our representatives. They should represent us. You should get more than just the time of a handshake to talk to them if you want. It's just insane that the priority is, spending $100K on a Hyatt ballroom for a night rather than, have a tab at a bar where you talk to constituents and try to actually make a difference in a local business.
No, I think that's huge. And I think like community outreach, like one thing that I think I hate to say that Republicans have kind of done very well in the last couple of years, especially, is they've kind of just every single crazy person in the party ran for elections and eventually all ended up winning. And like the normal Republican air quotes that used to exist in the party are now all kind of just replaced with people like Marjorie Taylor Greene. Like every Republican is just kind of her now. And I think you mentioned this earlier is like, I mean, there should be like everyone should be running, right? Like I feel like there should be more people running. And I think like you're like doing videos on it. Like I think that could be really useful because I feel like we just have to kind of all change the Democratic Party. Like if we're accepting that the way to change the country and get like a leftist agenda is through like infiltrating the leftist or the Democratic Party, I feel like more people just need to start running. And I feel like something like that could help.
Yes. And I mean, I think that there's something to be said about running third party, like Bernie Sanders wrote, or running independent, or just running with the Working Families Party. Like there are tons of different options you could take. For me, I think the Democratic Party is, this is, a traditionally progressive district. It has like a lot of support. There are a lot of college students here. Like it's a very cool district. And I think that this is the best route for me, but whatever works for you and what you think your community needs is what you should do. And, if you want to run for Congress, if you're listening to this and you want to run for Congress, DM me. Let's talk. I would love to get some like actual change, some, generational change. And by generational, I mean like under, 50. The average age of Congress is 58.
Young.
That's 20 years older than the average American.
58 years young,
Very
baby.
spry age.
And there's nothing wrong with being 58, but we need people that represent Americans. And that means having more than just like one Gen Z congressman. I would love for other, candidates in this cycle, especially first-time people that are really excited about running and making change and not compromising on your beliefs. Like, everything that I believe, I've said what I said, and I truly believe that. And I have no interest in changing that for what I think, someone on Fox News would like or would say about it. If you're one of those people, DM me. Let's talk. Let's, get some shit moving.
Do you think that that's really all it'll take to rehab the Democratic Party at this moment, is just like to stop just completely capitulating to everything? Or do you think that there's like more to be done here? Because I don't know. This is a big question. It is outside of your purview, I think. It's outside of anybody's. But like, I find...
Tell us now, Kat.
I find the fascist drift of like Gen Alpha to be really scary.
Yeah, I mean, I think that there's definitely more than just not capitulating. I think that's definitely a start. Even if we get a majority in the House or whatever, we need not only a majority of Democrats, we need a majority of people that actually want to do something, that like aren't corrupted by a ton of corporate money. We need a large amount of, I think AOC said it really well in like her original launch video where she said not all Democrats are the same, because they aren't. Just because they're not Trump's party doesn't mean that every single Democrat is flawless. And I think there's a huge party problem with like being terrified of criticism or challenging. The amount of people I have talked to that have almost immediately hung up when I say that this district has an incumbent and we're not sure if she's going to step down because they are scared of Democratic retaliation is insane. It's ridiculous. And that shouldn't be... If you are truly a Democratic Party, small d, if you're sick, you don't get mad when the doctor says, hey, let's like try a course of treatment. You do what the doctor says, or at least try it, or maybe consider anything besides, let me keep like huffing in lead fumes.
The Democratic Party, way more so than the Republican Party currently, loves the hierarchy of leadership so much. Like the Democratic Party mindset still to this day, sadly, is you have to do your time and eventually you will become very important in the party. And I think a lot of people want even like younger Congress people to go down that path. We saw that play out a little bit with AOC versus that Jerry fucking guy who...
Jerry Garcia.
Jerry Maguire.
They were running. Yeah, with that dude that the oversight committee, and I forget what news organization wrote about him, but he was like 72 years old, and he was like, they were writing about the two of them running against each other, and they were like, oh, cancer notwithstanding, he's a very young 72-year-old man or something like that. Do you remember that shit? Yeah.
Yes,
it's what the fuck?
Ridiculous. No. And it's like, this is just such an, I talked to some people who just asking around before I wanted to run, and they said, we're not sure if the incumbent if Jan Schakowsky is going to run again. And Jan Schakowsky is like a progressive member of Congress. She was great on the Iraq War in, when it happened, which is saying like a lot. But she's been there. There hasn't been a competitive primary in this district since 1998, which was like 5 months before I was born. A lot of people I talked to were like, we're not sure if she's going to run or not. And I think that's a problem. If you are 80, your constituents should know already whether or not you are going to be running when you are 82 to end a term when you are 84.
Respectfully.
But also the amount of people that were like, but this person is waiting in line, or this person is next in line, or this person. That's also a problem, because I'm sorry, like you don't get to pick your success. This is a democracy, or it's supposed to be.
I know, but we've had...
And it's always like different people.
We've had a century of political dynasties. We've got the Bushes, we've got the Kennedys,
And now it's going to be an Abughazaleh one. It's going to be me and then Heater, my cat.
Wait for your cat to run for Congress.
I do very much support the idea. I mean, look, I'm not Mr. Electoral Politics, but I do generally support the idea of like more people throwing shit at the wall and trying it out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think
Why not try something different? This obviously isn't working.
Yeah, and like also not that they ended up being people that we liked, right? But like when you look at the political careers of some of the most important, at least influential politicians in America, they were very, very young when they got their start. You know what I mean? I used to be obsessed with that shit when I was a psychotic person in college, and I thought that I was going to be president of the United States because I'm a psychopath. And you know, Bill Clinton became AG when he was like AG of Arkansas when he was like 27 or something, right out of law school.
For real?
Yeah, no,
That's crazy.
experience,
Wait, that's
no
so
experience
hot?
at all. It's so hot.
That's so
It is
cool.
so hot. It is so hot.
This is
I
not
get
me
it.
saying Bill Clinton is hot. This is me saying being AG at 27 and
Crazy.
like 1970
Let me look.
whatever or 80 whatever.
Let me just double check.
That's so cool. Like that's just a
Like we know he's a pedophile now, so like
Yeah.
that biases. But like I get why people at the time
Yeah,
liked him
exactly.
before we knew he was a pedophile.
He was 32. He's a little older, but still,
no, but
very
still,
young.
it's pretty young.
Very young.
That's very young.
But
That's
like
very
also the
young.
most successful people in politics in this century have been people like that have said, fuck it, I'm taking my shot. Obama, Trump, AOC. Like these Americans don't want this like cookie cutter format. And I think if the Democratic Party learned from that, like the most popular president of this century was someone that said, you know, fuck it, we ball. We're trying. It would
people like hopeful messages, maybe not like blind optimism. Like that never turns out well, as we saw with Obama's
But Hillary was
presidency.
supposed to be, you know, the nominee, and he took his chance, and people liked what he had to say. So maybe instead of all of like one party that has had the same people in power for like 30 years, we, you know, try something new.
Yeah, and I think like that's really important to try something new too. Not only just because this current leadership and older generation of Democrats has just completely failed this country. Like, I'm sorry, that's just kind of overwhelmingly the case, given we're under Trump's second term. But I feel like the Democrats just don't really know how to use social media.
Yeah.
It's like as like an effective political weapon. I mean, Trump is like the prime example of someone that's able to do that. Just dip and weave on social media and just like destroy. Like, I don't know. He's like, I think most people can admit that Trump is just generally pretty good at social media, and AOC as well. AOC and maybe Bernie Sanders, but most Democrats, like there
He's
was
got a
that.
good team.
Yeah, that's true. He's not posting. He's not the guy posting on there. But AOC, like the younger people generally know what they're doing. But like I'm sure you've seen these videos of currently elected Democrats where they'll do like TikTok trends, and they're like doing that like fight stance thing, and they're like 70 years old, like punching, and like text will come up, and it's like, what are we doing? Like young people are not looking at this and being excited to vote for you. They want like actual things. People like they don't want to see you doing TikTok trends or some shit. That's not what's gonna work.
The best post Democrats have done since Trump took office was just quote tweeting that Cybertruck of putting ugly ass car.
That was pretty good. I have to admit, I did like and retweet that. I was like, okay, you got me. You got me,
People
Democrats.
want like anchor. They want to be shown that they're not alone. If you want to fight fascism, you can't just leave people out in the cold, because they're going to think, oh, so this is normal. Like I'm the only one that thinks this is weird. No, your representative should be yelling about this constantly. And if you feel like you're alone, even if they're doing something, if you feel like you're alone, that is a failure on their part. Because it's your perception and your community's perception is what matters, not what they think they're doing.
Absolutely. No, it's super important.
I like when they do clapbacks to executive orders like, so this is insane.
So that happened. I like
the
strongly
responses.
worded letters, and they're like, I signed on to this. That is something I did today. Like,
We're introducing.
no one read that.
We're introducing the Fascism Act. It stands for faggots against cults. I don't know, some shit. But that's like typically what they do is
You
like,
forgot
we're
forgot the S.
June,
in
how do you spell
fascism.
fascism?
Fascism. Fuck. See, this is why I can't run for office. I can't even spell.
I'm like so merch pilled all of a sudden. I'm like, oh, June, how do you spell fascism? As a t-shirt.
We'll work on that one.
I love it.
Guys, my logo looks so fucking cool. I can't wait to put it on.
Oh shit! I can't wait to see it.
I'll send it to you right now.
Oh,
Oh yeah,
do.
let's check it out.
But I think it's just really important overall for Democrats if to stop capitulating, stop bowing to potentially tough questions before they're even asked. I've been thinking about the Mahmoud Khalil thing and how Chuck Schumer is basically oh yes, we love we don't mind that this Palestinian activist is being deported. He had barely said anything about that, and their Democratic leadership is just still silent about that. And
what did he say today? That it's his job to make sure that the Democratic Party stays pro-Israel.
Yeah, I saw
Did
that
he
today,
say
and
that?
it's he did.
And no, it's your job to represent your constituents.
Just so out of touch, so out of touch with voters. Amazing.
I don't really even understand what he's trying to say there. You know?
Oh, I think Chuck Schumer. Oh, that logo is amazing, by the way. But I think Chuck Schumer, what he's trying to say is he doesn't want people to be pro-Palestine. He wants to continue the Democratic Party being a pro-Israeli party. Is that was my read of what Chuck Schumer was saying there.
Well, mission accomplished, dude.
I mean, it's not really working with the constituents of the party.
Oh, but
maybe
they're
it's
doing a
working
great
with
job of staying on message, though. They're doing a great job.
But still
yeah,
didn't stop them from contacting me, trying to get me to do an entire swing state tour for Arabs to get them to vote Democrat.
Really?
Yeah, a PAC reached out to me and asked a month before the election if I could do essentially a huge operation in swing states to get Arabs to vote Harris. They reached out to me because they remembered at the DNC how I kept asking the coordination team to put me in touch with a campaign surrogate to talk about Gaza and a very let's just talk about it. This is not a gotcha. I am here as a creator. It turns out I was there as a token. Anyways, I said I'd do it for free, this entire thing, if they got me 10 minutes on camera with Kamala Harris, because she just needed to talk to an Arab person on camera. Any one of them, just someone, please just be genuine for a second. And they said no. So I said, anything else I do will have far less impact than that.
Do you want to go a little bit more into the at the DNC how they treated the pro-Palestine group? I forget the delegates that were unassigned. Uncommitted. Yeah. Do you want to talk a little bit more about that?
Yeah. So at the DNC, the family of a hostage spoke, which they absolutely should have, and their story was beautiful. And I don't know anyone that was against that. And over months, the uncommitted movement, which are Democrats, by the way, they were essentially giving voters a choice besides the Republican Party of we're a stopgap for the Democratic Party to get their shit together and just recognize us as humans. By the way, if you're listening and you don't know, I'm half Palestinian. But the DNC, they just kept stringing the uncommitted movement along, and then eventually, a day before the second to last day of the DNC, said no Palestinian person would be allowed to speak on stage. Not no one from the uncommitted movement, not, no one from X organization, no Palestinian person, literally discriminating on race. And so the uncommitted movement, it wasn't supposed to be a sit-in. They were we are just sitting out here waiting for someone to call and say we can have a speaker. They had anti-choice Republicans on stage. They had the vice president of Uber or something there. They had billionaires. They had all of these people, but they couldn't have a Palestinian on stage, as tens of thousands of them are dead because of bombs our tax dollars paid for. And so I was also there. We slept outside, and they didn't allow it. We slept outside. We stayed outside. We were worried they were going to call the cops, but an angel told them not to. And so they didn't, which would have been a very bad look, but no Palestinian speaker. And I think it was a mistake.
Yeah, just a complete failure of leadership in that moment. And I'm sure they still wouldn't even change anything to this day, sadly.
If you put in any other race in that like don't allow a blank speaker. It's unacceptable. Why is it okay if it's with Palestinians?
I personally found nothing more haunting than that footage of people plugging their ears as protesters were protesting.
And there are people that came up to us and they were like, free the hostages. And we were like, yeah, we agree. Like the hostages should be free. I have heard some like awful things from people who claim to be Democrats or claim to be on the left. I cover the far right for a living. So it's been a shocking.
I'm sure you hear a lot of the like same rhetoric and words. I mean, the whole Israel-Palestine in like October 7th, 2023 situation, I feel like broke so many people's brains.
I think it's pretty easy to say civilians shouldn't die. I mean, I've been like very clear about this. Anyone that commits a war crime should be held accountable. Hamas and Israel. Civilians shouldn't die.
Hot take.
Hamas and Israel. I think that war crimes are bad. Hamas and Israel. Civilian life matters. Hamas and Israel. It's just insane.
Hot take. I think overall, less death is like pretty cool.
Less death is so fucking cool.
I really like less people dying.
I was really on board with this. I was really on board with this no corporate money thing, but less death. I don't know. That's tough for me.
It's a step too far. We have to have a minimum world death of 1 million per year.
The great abacus upon which I make all global decisions requires a certain number of deaths.
But there's like a movement right now too. There was an article, I forget which organization put it up, but there was Sarah McBride, the first trans senator. Republicans have been misgendering her in Congress, all that sort of stuff, just completely disrespecting her entirely. And a lot of Democrats are like, well, we kind of have to get a little transphobic if we want to win. Like they want to widen the tent, but only to like transphobia and like, being anti-Palestinian. And basically all I'm trying to say is I hope enough people kick out politicians that think this way, because this is it'll be a constant death spiral. I think that is my analysis, that I think being a worse person will lead to a death spiral of the party, because there's an even worse party. If you
Not
like
even
being evil,
a death
there's
spiral
an
of the party,
evil party.
Just a death spiral in general. I mean,
that's true.
My education is like I focus on genocide and atrocity, and that comes with extremism. And if you can hear what sounds like a paper bag being smashed on by a cat, that's what's happening. But it's trans people are often, I've said. In the video, but like they're often forced to be the canaries in the proto-fascist coal mine, because it's easier to discriminate against them. And that is what is happening right now. It's not a coincidence. And if you meet this moment with anything except radical solidarity, you are missing the moment, and it'll be you that's next.
Absolutely. A way I've been putting it lately is like, it's like Republicans lost the battle on gay marriage. It felt like that was that was it for the culture war. So Republicans were like, okay, we have to stop and regroup. Their next target was trans people. And then, they're rolling back trans rights in a lot of states. Next will be, I hate to say it, but I really do think they're going to start openly targeting gay marriage.
Yes,
federally.
absolutely. Oh, that's absolutely going to happen. Yes.
Yeah. Like, I hate to speak that into existence, but that's just the natural path they're on.
I've been so focused on just like the slow rolling disaster that's been taking place. I didn't even think about that. That is called cishet privilege.
Disgusting. Disgusting.
Thanks, Alex.
Sit your cis white ass down and learn.
Finally, someone told me what I need to do.
Real ones don't like that. Real ones actually want gay marriage to get overturned because we know that gay marriage means gay divorce, and that is heartbreaking. It's so sad.
That is really sad. Oh,
yeah, they invented gay divorce to hurt the LGBT community.
They call it gay divorce too. The judge is like, I grant you a gay divorce. A good
and they
divorce.
Laugh. Faggots. Oh, sorry.
The gay divorce epidemic.
Unless the judge is gay, then the judge cries too.
Oh my fucking God.
So we're talking to you on Sunday, the 23rd. You're announcing tomorrow, right?
Yeah. In like, what time is it?
It is 8:30.
In literally 12 hours.
Oh my God. How do you feel?
I better edit this quick.
I'm excited. I'm amped. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you have like any, I think we're kind of coming to the end of this. Is there any like last little like message to not even people that'll vote for you, but just like people out there, or just like a general message of hope or anything?
Yeah. I mean, look, our leaders are failing us. This isn't the time to give them another chance. This is the time to stand up for ourselves, because if you've been in power for 10, 20, 30 years, giving you another 2 probably isn't going to change what you've been doing. And I think that's a huge mistake we keep making in this party, in this country, is just being terrified of change. It's a very scary moment we're in right now. But scary moments also often lead to like a lot of really cool ones. A lot of big, bold moves, good and bad. I think that we can do a lot of good ones. I'm trying to do one here. I think that everyone in this virtual room and everyone listening can do the same. If we all try to do a little thing and try to be a little brave and try to work a little harder to stand up to people who won't work hard for us, then I think the world could be a lot different in like 2 to 3 years. And after that,
You heard it here first. If you have said that you think Iran should have nuclear weapons, you should actually run for office.
Yes.
We could create something special here.
We could
that.
create something really, really special.
Yeah. Also, I have breaking news, which is like pretty bad, I think, for the progressive movement, for the left movement. All of the people attending the AOC and Bernie Sanders rallies are paid protesters. Just learned this from Elon Musk, actually. He just.
Oh, wow. That's really cool. Wait,
yeah.
Are we not going to talk about my deposition? Yeah.
Wait, talk about that actually,
Wait,
please.
I mean,
What
I legally can't talk about my deposition.
Fuck. Well,
because I can't I can't release a video because I'm not going to risk having Elon's lawyers sicked on me. But I was deposed by Elon Musk in October for like 6 or 7 hours in relation to the Media Matters lawsuit.
Media Matters.
But I had nothing. I worked in like a different time of day. I was night shift. I didn't write. I had nothing to do with this. They literally just brought me in, I think because I've tweeted mean stuff about him. It's fucking ridiculous. Just absolutely ridiculous.
You guys can't see this, but Kat is
I'm
gesticulating wildly right now.
I am gesticulating wildly. It's in italics. It's in brackets. I'm trying to figure out what to say to not get sued. I guess all I'll say is Elon Musk is a huge baby. And if he could do that to me, he's going to do it to you. I mean, he made me lose my job a year ago. He's doing the exact same thing to federal workers. Don't be surprised when he sicks his lawyers on them too.
He was responsible for you losing your job at Media Matters?
Yeah, because the costs, he sued them in so many places, in so many countries. The costs, went up and up and up.
I thought
and
you
then
meant
they
that he
had
had targeted you personally.
No,
well, he
I mean,
kind of did, sort of.
Yeah, I mean, like, me and 11 other colleagues got laid off, and then he and Limbs of TikTok tweeted about me a bunch, and that made my phone completely unusable for like a week. And then I got subpoenaed and deposed here in Chicago for a video deposition, which probably costs like tens of thousands of dollars. Video depositions are apparently not cheap. They're a lot more expensive than regular depositions, I've been told. So they flew lawyers here to Chicago to depose me, someone with no relation to this case. This man is the biggest baby in the world.
As a person who has been deposed for something as innocuous as having been in a car accident, like I was in a car accident, I was dealing with the insurance stuff. Being deposed is exhausting and invasive and extremely uncomfortable. And at every moment you feel like you're going to say the wrong thing. It fucking sucks.
I mean, I didn't, because I would never say the wrong thing.
And that's what we want in office. That's the kind
true.
of person we want in office.
Exactly. You want someone who's perfect, and that's me. I'm perfect.
But I did want to just say that that's been like the wealthy in the US, but especially like Elon Musk, ever since I feel like Peter Thiel suing Gawker, that's been sort of the strategy of just like targeting these organizations and suing these organizations to basically either totally destroy them or keep them occupied and make them lose a lot of money and like shut them up. That's been like it's a really weird, fucking disgusting way of getting around free speech laws, I feel like.
Yeah, it's, this guy talks about free speech so much, and yet, like, I have like $6,000 in my bank account, and the richest man in the world was like, I need to subject this woman to a deposition for hours at a time.
I mean, that's very intentional, very intentional. He knew. I mean, he knew what he was doing with that. He does that every fucking day.
As we are winding up, how do you want people to find more about your platform? Where can they go? What should they be looking for?
You can go to Kat for Illinois. That's KAT for Illinois.com. I also have social media, which you can find at KAT for Illinois.com. If you are able, I would really appreciate if you could donate to the campaign. Your money will not be wasted on shitty, stupid, ineffective tactics. So we're not going to be sending spam texts. For an email we're sending out, someone was like, can we have them sign a petition? And I was like, no, let's say put them on the supporters list. So that way you're not just giving your information for no goddamn reason. I want to be like, really honest about what we're doing here. So no spam texts. We're not wasting money on like useless consultants that don't provide anything. We're not, spending money on focus groups to test my views. That's all bullshit. Your money will be going to community-based campaigning, to this new type of campaign that's really focused on mutual aid and helping people in a concrete, direct way. So if you can contribute, that would be awesome. If you can't, if you should, sign up for our supporter list, volunteer if you can, or come to our event in Chicago on Saturday, which you can find on the website as well. Once again, the entry fee is a box of tampons or pads or liners.
I will be there. I'll go to that.
Yay. Thank you, June.
Of course. Yeah. No, that sounds like a great time.
The last time Lolo went to Chicago, he nearly died, so I don't think he's going to make it.
I mean, he's halfway there right now.
I'll get pink eye for you this time. Don't worry. Just one last policy question before we wrap up. Do you support classifying purchasing crypto as online gambling and then supporting banning online gambling? How do you feel about that? I think two, like one fell swoop. Just get rid of both. Both are evil.
June, I got to bring you on as a policy consultant.
I can.
Never mind. Your money is going to be wasted on one consultant, and it's June.
I'll create the Project Woke 2029. I'm working on it. I have a little document. I'm putting together the most woke agenda for the left.
Trans in the water, trans in the air, fluoride for gay teeth. We all know this.
Yeah. Amazing. All right, thank you so much for coming on.
Yeah, thanks for coming.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing how this goes. I'm really hopeful.
Yeah, have
for you.
me back on when something really stupid happens.
Oh my God.
Absolutely.
Definitely.
Amazing.
And in all campaigns, something incredibly stupid will happen. So I'm so
I can't wait. It's going to be so dumb.
All right. Well, thanks everybody. We'll